The president doesn't want to admit defeat, and nobody would. But he's currently trying to discredit the election results through falsehoods and conspiracies. As someone entrusted to lead, I have a choice. I can be quiet, and I can survive by taking the easy path, or I can speak up and lead without concern for the consequences. I choose to lead without fear. So let me address these conspiracies, and I want you to buckle up. Do you remember when Sarah Palin was running for vice president and she said, "I can see Russia from my house" during an interview? Like most Americans, you're probably thinking, yeah, that was so funny. Well, she never said that. If you actually read the transcript from her 2008 interview with ABC News, what she really said was this: there are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska, from an island in Alaska. By the way, you can. It's very different indeed, and yet it's the fake quote that's so famously attributed to her. This is a minor example, but it highlights a larger issue at hand. Misinformation and inaccuracies spread like wildfire, and very little is done to correct the lies being told. A few weeks ago, a story spread about the Supreme Court where Person A heard from a clerk in the Supreme Court who overheard Chief Justice Roberts screaming at the conservative judges behind closed doors over the Texas voter fraud case and told them they had to dismiss it. Quite shocking indeed, but again, absolutely untrue. First off, the Supreme Court's been hearing oral arguments over the phone since the COVID pandemic began, and they've not been conducting business in person, so there wasn't any closed-door conversation to overhear. The story was widespread by a conspiracy theorist with a blog, and more disturbingly, an electorate from Texas repeated this made-up story on the floor of the Texas state capitol in a speech filmed on C-SPAN. When a conspiracy theory is repeated like this in an official setting, it makes it seem real to folks, and it's then sent as proof. And that's a serious problem that we need to address. As public servants, we have a responsibility to serve in good faith. Purporting falsehoods is dangerously irresponsible, and it's just plain wrong. So now let's get into Dominion. First off, Dominion servers are not housed in foreign countries. There was a story out there saying that in Michigan, Dominion was switching 6,000 votes from Donald Trump and giving them to Joe Biden. That's false. There was an error, but it was a human error, not a Dominion issue, and it was corrected. Plus, the county at the center of this falsehood, it's a Republican county with Republican elected officials, so just think about that one. Across the country, we've seen claims of deceased voters sending in ballots for the 2020 election, and I'm not discrediting that that happens. I do believe it does. But I saw a tweet that had 50,000 retweets claiming a woman named Donna Bridges was dead, but still voted. Outrage ensued, despite the proof of Donna Bridges and her husband being interviewed by the AP on November 5th, 2020, confirming that she was very much alive. Yes, we have some voter fraud issues in any given election, but nothing has been enough to change the outcome of the 2020 election. Yet the stories continue. Did anyone see that video of the man who burned 80 ballots? Crazy, right? Except those were sample ballots. They're not real ballots, and it was evidential by the lack of a barcode. What about the postal worker from Erie, Pennsylvania, who swore in an affidavit that he was ordered to backdate ballots after Election Day? Well, that's fraud. His story, I mean. Because there was no tampering, and he admitted to the United States Postal Service Inspector General that he made those false claims based on conversations he thought he might have overheard in the noisy mailroom one day. Right. Well, I could go on, but there's too many to track. Between Facebook and Twitter, countless rumors and conspiracy theories spreading and circulating and causing damage to our country, our democracy, our faith in our institutions, and our sense of security. People take a headline as truth or the post shared from a friend as to what's really happening, and it's a dangerous cycle of misinformation that we need to actively break away from, and soon. Right now, members of Congress are planning to try to overthrow this election by using the debunked conspiracy theories. Let's be clear, they won't succeed, and they all know it. They will raise money on it, however. I've heard from so many members of Congress who know this isn't true, but they fear their next election, and a snowball of self-protection has grown rapidly. We were sent to lead regardless of our preferred outcome, and we must lead. This will start a terrible cycle where every election must be objected to, and eventually we will lose our ability to self-govern. It really is that serious. So I'm going to do the right thing regardless of the personal cost. I've sworn to do that, but I certainly hope I'm not alone.